everybody, make una come here. The registration with them they call CVR is still they continue. The CVR they for people who don't reach 18 years and they never register before, and people where their PVC don't bafuka abi don't loss, plus including people who want transfer their registration go where them they live now. This exercise go follow hella people who want correct any informate on top their PVC or where their card get accreditation problem for the last election. Make una use internet, go our Ogbonge online voter registration portal cvr.inec.gov.ng or cvr.inecnigeria.org. Enter all your informate, come collect date where you go INEC state or local government office, make them capture your fingerprint and photo. This message now from Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Now we dey make una vote count. Now we dey make our democracy stand gidigba.
Good day, viewers. You're welcome to NOA River State Dialogue, a weekly sensitization program of the National Orientation Agency, River State. It is a platform where the National Orientation Agency, River State, sensitize and enlighten the populace on government policies, program, and activities, and in turn give a feedback to governments. Now, man is an itinerant being. He's always on the move, either moving for a greener pasture or moving away from dangers. Now, this movement is usually from the rural areas to the urban, and this movement usually comes with some challenges to the urban centers, majorly in two major ways: environmental challenges and social challenges. The social challenges, present itself in the form of robbery, drugs, high rate in vices and crimes. The environmental challenges often present itself as increased waste management generations. When people begin to move into a particular urban center flux, you see waste generation increases, and these wastes are usually not properly disposed or managed. They are either dropped into drains, into places that are not supposed to be, and when it rains, you see flood. Most of these floods are not caused by any other thing, but waste, drop into drainages. In some cases, these wastes are burnt, and it contributes to even the soot we are seeing. Oftentimes, people have said it's not just the illegal refinery that is causing the soot. Some of these things also contribute to the soot. Sometimes wastes are deposited in area where they ought not to be deposited, and you see all kinds of diseases, typhoid, diarrhea, and all these things, emanating from poor waste management. This has informed the National Orientation Agency to come up with a topic today for discussion: urban renewal and waste management. As usual in the studio, I'm not alone today to discuss this topic. I have three gentlemen with me in no particular order. First is Dr. Williams IYAMA. Dr. Williams IYAMA is the Councillor, Waste Management Society of Nigeria, River State. Doctor, you're welcome to the River State Dialogue once again.
Thank you very much.
And I also have Dr. OKORINAMA WOKOMA, is the head of Department of Biological Sciences, IGNATIUS, AJURU, University of Education, RUMUOLUMENI, River State. Doc, you're welcome to the River State Dialogue.
Thank you for having me.
And the last but not the least, I have Mr. Dike Alabo Awayu, Assistant State Commander, Administration, White Brigade. You're welcome to the River State Dialogue. Let us just start on this note. I would like to start with you, Doctor, the Councillor of Waste Management Society. What is urban renewal and waste management all about? So, let's start the discussion on that.
Thank you very much. Of course, when we talk about urban renewal, to the layman, the urban areas are the cities, the towns. I would say renewal, it has to do with transformation to the poor areas, poorly developed areas being transformed. Like in the US, we all know the so-called urban renewal. To them, they address it as urban regeneration. And if you go to the UK, they look at it as urban redevelopment. So in this entirety, you discover that all we are doing is how to make life more meaningful to the people. As development comes, certain things we used to do before will not be as it is. So there should be transformation so that these areas could become habitable. Especially from cite examples like what's happening in River State today, the slums. Some of the slums used to be the best areas to go live in those days. But today they are no more fashionable. Probably I feel the government is responsive to the people. These are areas you can develop into city-states, small city states. You can even make them look very fine for us to stay and build estates and people can stay there. So urban renewal generally, when you want to look into waste management, then you talk about the fact that everybody wants to come to the town. And where will they go? Because of poverty, they go to the slums. And when they go to these areas, what is happening? Population increase comes in. As long as the population is increasing, waste generation must definitely increase. And to manage this waste is not also very easy. You know, just like what you said when you are ranting, you discover that if you go to some areas of Port, there is what we call constant burning. In fact, with the area I stay, I don't know how to say it because sometimes you say, Councillor, you are the highest officer in the River State as far as waste management is concerned. Why is it that in your area they burn that bridge is constantly under fire? Anybody that passes through that road can testify. And people don't know that it's also affecting the bridge gradually. So you discover that waste and urban renewal, they go hand in hand. As you are doing that, you are pushing people also away from this city center too. But it is very important that we realize that in Port Harcourt today, we want to link it to Port Harcourt. We are in a very big mess because these areas that are low income earners, where the low income earners stay, like you call them slums, you know, the highest population. If you go to those areas, sometimes you'll be very shocked to see the population of the whole stay there. You'll be very shocked.
It's dense.
Very, very sensitive populated there. So if you go there, you know that the stream around those areas are all waste dumps. Because they don't have any other place. Where will they put the waste? All will go to the water body. And at the end of the day, me and you will end up eating a lot of marine organisms from those areas. And you think that we are safe? We're not. But some of them are very highly PARs. Also, they are burning things. All of us know that one of the major things are the PARs. They are all everywhere. We are just, I don't want to use that language because of our Christian background, but I say that the River State, we are working cops. Because what goes into our system through this waste management and urban renewal practices are quite enormous. I will stop there, but still time to talk more.
Doc, would you add a little bit to what the waste management expert just said? Coming from the perspective as a biological scientist.
Well, for us, when I've been in the field over the years, carrying out research on the environment, some of the results we come by, you begin to wonder, are we still alive? When you look at some of the rivers around us, the heavy metal loading, which of course are all, from the urban areas, from surface runoff and all that. And then if you look at the water bodies around us here in Port Harcourt, you marvel, particularly if you go to the town axis, where I am so much familiar with as a growing-up child, you wonder the kind of waste you see, mostly plastics and floatables on the water. And this is where they say bring fish for us to eat. So if you take samples of these fishes sold in the market and take it to the lab, you get values far above permissible limits.
But let me say this, because what the fish taking, because some fish actually feed on our physics. What the fish feed on, does it really pass on to the human in terms of consumption?
Fishes usually, even if heavy metals, other contaminants, when they consume, it doesn't affect them physically. They are made to accumulate them in their system and pass it on to the next consumer, which in most cases is you and I. Yes, they don't show any physical effect on them. They will be still living a normal life. But when you and I consume them, it's contaminating that is piled up in their tissues. We take it. And then for the wastes, we're not, maybe I'm not going into specifics, but generally, I grew up in Job Acts much later in life. And I observed the thing sometime. It was raining and we were trying to rush home. And on my way home, I found that some who were rushing home were actually running away from the rain. Not that they don't want to be beaten by the rain, but they are running home to evacuate their dustbins into the drainage. And I said, what kind of life is this? That habit has even increased with the increase of population in Port Harcourt. Yeah. And we talk about flood in areas that never experienced flood. Now we have flood. Yeah. And then we always call on government, we blame government. But in most cases, you and I should also look inwards. Our attitude, our character, the way we relate to the environment, leaves much to be desired. So waste management, of course, once there's population explosion, it will lead to more waste being generated. And of course, we have the limitations. In advanced climes, the generator pays. Yeah. But here we see it as a social service to be rendered by the government. That's why we don't care. Otherwise, if we are paying for the waste we generate, I'm sure most of us will actually look inwards at what we produce as waste and perhaps reuse a number of them, find a way to recycle, or find a way to pass it on to somebody else. But because the government pays, we think government's role is to manage waste and take care of it. Even when they designate a place for us to just dump it for them to come and pick it up, keeping it neatly is a problem. How many of us in Port Harcourt have these black bags in our homes? I'm sure nobody does do that again.
I'm meant to understand that this waste, in fact, sometimes they give 2 to 3 bags, and there are different kinds of waste put in different bags.
Yeah, that's segregation. Yeah, and
so that they can pick them up.
That's one of the greatest hazards of waste management here in Nigeria, and perhaps most developing countries, because we don't segregate at source. And so once everything gets into the dump site, which of course is poorly prepared, it's not a sanitary landfill. So even that has its own problem, hazards, as long as groundwater is concerned. Research has shown that the borrow pits that are now used as dump sites are avenues of groundwater contamination. Once we put all these containers, both metallic, household waste, industrial waste, office waste, everything put together, when it rains, there's corrosion, there's reaction and all that. And all this percolate down the soil to contaminate groundwater, particularly areas where the groundwater level is shallow. And we all know virtually every home now depend on their own borehole, no longer on public water supply. So when your water source is contaminated, you can tell what will happen. So we're exposed to an explosion of epidemic any day, any time. Because that's water source all of us rely on in our homes. How many of us also periodically take our water samples to the lab for proper potability test as to know the level of treatment it requires? I doubt if any of us hardly do it, faithfully, maybe once or twice in a year. I don't do it, even as a professional.
Doc, would I say, is it the adage?
No, not that. I know I have treatment facilities, but even at that, it is proper to cross-check. But when you check, and your people know that this is the water, station water is, how do you get alternative? That's what also depend on bottled water, and we can't afford to feed the entire family with bottled water from our main resources.
And also sometimes it's good to don't know certain things. What you don't know.
That is in Africa, yeah.
Because what you know now, you be on that test, you begin to live on that serious test. I think we've exhausted this, but let's now in urban renewal, before government embarks on urban renewal, there is usual steps, pre to urban renewal, the urban renewal proper, and then post urban renewal. So what are the steps to urban renewal? I think I will start with you again. What are the steps that are need to be taken?
When we say urban renewal, there are cases where it is a deliberate attempt, and there are cases where it is according to what you observe. And that is why if you read much about urban renewal in Africa, they will tell you that it is more to the politicians' whims and caprices. You know, if not, it's supposed to be something that is not supposed to be under the control of governance. So it's under the control of seasoned technocrats, where you have, as you, in the NOA is the system. Whether government comes or not, you are there and you do your work. But the steps you need to take actually for you to have a proper urban renewal is, first of all, set up a body and look at these areas that need this renewal. Although we should realize that we're talking about poorly planned areas. Urban renewal is not just about construction. It's not just about building and structures alone. It will be also issues of trying to look at how you can improve in the economy of a state. It's also urban renewal. For example, let's look at what happened some years back when a government took the bull by the horn that the capital city is getting overcrowded. Let's shift a little out of that. Is urban renewal. And when you shift people like that, that area is more planned. I've not been to UK, but those who have been to UK, I'm talking about London precisely. They said they have the new part and the old one. If you enter the new part of the new where they actually moved to, after all that, you discover that that area, their roads are wider and the plan is quite different. But our own case here, once you have set up a group, a committee that will look into it, you begin to now move structure by structure from area to area, not at once. For example, I feel that you want to renew an environment. You look at, say, Bono water side, you want to move them. There should be a pre and post plan. Where will this people go to first? If possible, go to a new site, start construction. And once you are done, all of us were in River State here when Finiman, we have the old Finiman, the new Finiman, all of us knew what happened. That is urban renewal also. So the stages are, like I said, they are deliberate stages. You can plan for them. They are conscious efforts. Some of you can say, this is the real way we can go into it.
So can I say here now that the case of the Akoko water from Ruala and those people is a typical case of no plan.
There is no, as far as I'm concerned, it was something they just, as politicians, they may have a good plan, but the execution becomes a problem.
Because as I speak with you, the people are sleeping outside, defecating outside, crying there. Of recent, before I think an NGO or something, before they came to their aid and then give them some starter pack to do things like that. But in terms of accommodation, roof over their head, 95% of them are just sleeping outside, defecating, bathing, urinating. In fact, that's just
the truth is that there was no pre-plan. Because like what I was saying, what River State government would have done is go to a new site, take statistics of those who are there. I'm talking about original occupants, original owners of the place. Go to a new site, build something for them. So when you are moving people like that, you won't have all this crisis going on. And what you must know is that government will come, government will go. There may be litigations tomorrow about that area. So these are the things you have to avoid, because we're talking about finance. Once government is in court, they're also spending. People are also spending. Yeah. So for me, well, like my dog said, he lived once around Joe axis. Anybody who has stayed in Port Harcourt, like me, I lived around Joe axis, precisely my friend. I know what it means to be in those areas. They are very risky environments. Most of these boys, when they commit crime, they run to these areas to hide. That is security reason. But that does also preclude the fact that there are good people also in those areas. So for me, government must be responsible, and I feel they should have this so-called human face. Put yourself in the shoes of these people and know that they have families. Some of them have 4, 5, these low income areas. Families can have 7 children.
Listening to this, I remember a particular family that has eight children. He himself and his wife and 8 children, so they are 10 in the family. All sleeping outside. You know, according to the mother, the children defecate in polythene bags and they just
so the fishes are growing fatter. But like what Prof. Doc said, that I can't forget, we should realize that studies and researches on heavy metal pollution in Port Harcourt is so much that if you read some, you want to eat any sea fish, you wouldn't want to eat any of these marine like crabs. In fact, the ones like me, I've already stopped it. I don't eat periwinkles. I have stopped because the studies have shown that periwinkles have very high tendency to absorb a lot of contaminants. And how many of them wash it well? Usually those ones that cook periwinkle alongside the shell. You don't. I have stopped it more than 2 years ago. Now, so you discover that for us, okay, look at the plastics we are talking about. A lot of research has also shown a lot of fishes now, they are almost plastic themselves. Now people are eating them without knowing. And people think that it's rumor. It's not rumor. At least I've seen one myself. So it's a serious matter. This urban renewal, we should look at it.
Sorry, at this point we have to join our correspondent who is waiting in our West local government area for our report. Doc, when we come back, we contribute to that issue. So let's join our correspondent from our West local government.
Thank you, Mr. Abiye Senibo. Where you carry me come inside this NOA reverse dialogue. My name na Righteous Glory Inime. I be staff for National Orientation Agency Akinima, Ahuda West local government area. Talk where we want touchlight this afternoon be say where our urban renewal and waste management, and we want talk for this matter how they go fit manage this waste and how for this urban area and wetin they want government to bring and how government go fit help them to make sure say these things they go know how they go to keep, they go take keep am so that the thing no go worry them. I dey inside this matter, we go talk this matter more with Kingdom, Mr. Kingdom allows. Mr. Kingdom, make you tell us how we go fit, how government go fit manage this waste for this urban area and how the people go fit do so that they're not going to throw dirty anyhow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Righteous. Thank you. I want to contribute small for urban renewal and waste management. I want to talk how government fit help. Government fit help because dustbin, good make it dustbin dey scatter, waste dey scatter everywhere. Government fit provide drum, provide basket, provide things wey we go put inside so that anybody wey get dustbin get waste go put inside, make e no dey fly out anyhow. So that people no go dey cause problem to children, no go dey cause sickness. Make government also take measure, make sure say they employ people wey go take good measure to make sure say people pack their dustbin put inside. Make the people government put law wey go monitor am, make sure say those things no dey fly out and anybody wey fail the law, make government hold am, make the law hold am well well. So if all these things dey fly out, make government no gree help. You think we dey enter drainage, you go dey block water, block erosion. If water wan flow, no way, and na so you go dey cause flood everywhere. So make government help us buy basket, make e employ people, make e dey monitor this thing. Thank you, Mrs. Righteous.
Thank you, Mr. Kingdom. Over to you, Mr. Abiye Senibo. Thank you.
Thank you, Righteous Inime. That was a very fantastic report there. Just before we join our correspondence in Ahuda West local government, I was to say that I think they contribute to what our waste management expert has just said. So Doc, we were talking about the steps, the pre, the urban and the post. The government needs to take deliberate and conscious steps to do certain things. We know that development comes with some side that no matter what you do, people will be trodden upon. But to reduce it to the minimal level where people will not have to be crying, and then in fact sometimes human beings are subjected to a little lower than animal, so that we don't get to that point. So, what's your contribution? What do you have to, you just said that.
Just like my colleague here stated, urban renewal should be a partnership between the private and the public sector. Government cannot just come in unannounced into a territory, a location, and then start demolition. Ideally, first is you should have a plan, a blueprint in hand, and then you sell this plan to the people who will be affected by the program. Let them buy into the program themselves. And they also see the need, why they need to move for this development to take place. And then you make them see reason why. So they will also be looking up to that beautiful, environment that will come up after the program. Just like we have Agri Road that was, renewed some years back. I'm sure the people were not just thrown away anyhow. And then at the end of the program, a good number of them got back apartments there. And look as a model. We also have Entoke Estate as another example here in Port Harcourt. So if government is interested in urban renewal, particularly the waterfronts, of course, outside this country in advanced plans, waterfront areas are the eyebrow areas, and the reverse is the case here. So if government intends to actually develop the waterfront areas, is to find a way and relocate these people there. First, you have to inform them and then get their demography, the statistics. How many households are there? How many, landlords are there? Get their number so you can get alternative places for them. Those that can on their own move will move. The ones that cannot at all, you can provide support for them to move. And then you do it in bits, not all the waterfronts at the same time. You can take in phases. As you finish one, you allow some of these people to come in, and then you go to phase 2. That's ideally what it's supposed to be. As you finish, then you let the people come in. And if they are also involved, perhaps some of them might be civil servants, they can be paying from their salary, from source. Others who are self-employed can also, be paying, in bits that will not be so hard on them, because they are also owning they have owned the program, and they will be part of it. And I'm sure they'll be excited to, support government to do what they do. But a situation where you give people 7 days in this our economic situation to move, even if the money is in your hand, in 7 days, can you see a place to move into? Impossible. It's a bit difficult. And then all the people affected at the same time. And then you now see, if I've passed that area one of these days, what I saw with my eyes is an eyesore. I can't go past again because I can't behold the people and all that. And I can't help. You can't help. So the government to actually, carry out this program with a human face. Know that these are the same people that voted the government into power. Whether they voted or not, for the fact that you won the election, they voted. Yeah. And they deserve the government's support. Now, all this while they've been there on their own, what has the government done to support life at the waterfronts? No water. The government has not thought of, even at that situation, maybe trying to get roads that can take them safely to the waterfronts. So even the way they pass to get to their houses is terrible. So these things have been there. So if government wants to be said, welcome development for government to think of, developing those blighted areas. It's a wonderful program, but the people want to be carried along and in phases, because we see what's happening in Zemanze and Abunawov. Similar thing was done years back, and nothing has happened in these areas up till now. Yeah. So the people just suffered. Though I heard Abunawov, they are compensated a little bit, but here nothing. So people have been there for 30, 40 years. And you're throwing them out in just 7 days with no alternative at all. I think it's not good enough.
No, could it be that, and you're talking something just dropped, could it be that because there's no legal framework, that has to regulate urban renewal and waste management? Because if there is a legal framework upon which government or could act, I don't think this is, what's your take about?
No, we have a framework. There are building codes. It may not take all these other areas to cognizance, but there are laws. One of the major challenges we have in Nigeria is implementation.
We have laws.
There are laws, but in most cases, even awareness creation for people to know that these laws exist is a problem. And then where they do, enforcement becomes another challenge. So there are laws in the building. You can't just go and build in any house anyhow. Even getting the approvals of your plan are laws to regulate building. There are all laws there, but some might need a review, no doubt about it. So these regulations are archaic. They need to be reviewed and updated, modernized. There are some need to be expanded to bring in, maybe increase scope and bring in more bite. There's no doubt about that. But even at that, government can still do something with a human face and achieve the same goal without causing less pain to the people concerned. Government can do that.
Enough, sir. Do you notice that even these areas we are talking about, some of them were refilled by these people? They were not actually lands before now. Some of the areas. I know of marine base here. They are the people that will tell you, like, I remember December when we went for this our outreach there to try to remove all the waste from the jetty. We know what they were telling us. All those areas were refilled by them. So when you are doing these things, you must consider people. It's very important. Government is for the people.
Sir, before we round up this topic, as a white brigadier, a voluntary person, I know you have some experiences. In terms of what the people plan, talking about government plan. Before taking out these actions, what the people are going through. Could you make just some contributions before we round up this?
Okay. What we are discussing here is urban renewal and waste management. And I am talking from practical perspective.
Yes.
And we know that environmental pollution is one of the act of indiscipline. Why is actually talking about the war against indiscipline? And if you will recall, in 1985, when Y was actually launched, 5 phases of the war was launched: the culture, work ethics, nationalism and patriotism, economic sabotage, and the final phase was environmental sanitation, because they have seen that there is need for our environment to be in order, otherwise there won't be development. You understand? Because there's a saying that a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. So if the environment is not conducive for the citizen, then the productivity will definitely reduce, and the indices, it could be said that urban or that country or that city is not developed. So in the area of this, and when this environmental sanitation was launched, the government made it mandatory or compulsory that it should be observed monthly. And that is where the awareness came. So as white brigadiers, we are really out to exploit.
Sir, sorry, let me just interject you. In your opinion, you think that sanitation should be done monthly? That is just in one day in 30 days we will clean our environment?
No, it shouldn't be done monthly. It should be part of our lives, everyday thing. But you discover that those periods, those years when it was being observed, the consciousness was there, and people were really out to clean up the environment. But because it is no longer there, that is why you can still find a whole lot of fields on our streets today which constitute hazards.
Okay, sir, sorry, I'll come back to you. Let's join correspondence from Onelga local government standing by. Onelga's local government, you're on, please.
My name is Mr. Senimo. I'm Ojedo reporting from Onega. With me is Mr. Victor Ifai. Sir, the topic of the discussion today is urban renewal and waste management. What is urban renewal?
Thank you very much. Urban renewal is the process or the art of destroying buildings, shanties, and other structures that government feels is not good enough to be
in the new area they want to create. That's for me is the urban renewal. It is the demolition of shanties to create modern work for other people to occupy.
Omog is an urban area. How is waste managed in Omog?
Thank you very much for this question. In Omog, we have a waste management committee that is responsible for collection and disposal of waste. They do that every day using their vehicle to collect waste from residents and take them to a dump site where they are evacuated.
Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Mr. V.A. Senegal.
Thank you, Mr. Ozuruki. That was a brief, concise, and straight to the point. Just before we join our NEGA correspondents, who I was talking to you, sir, and you were trying to tell us some laws how environmental sanitation came on about. But sir, let me just take us to another very valuable topic, point, a question here. Now, urban renewal, it's a deliberate and conscious step of government renewing the city, bringing modern facilities, upgrading overstretched infrastructures and facilities, which is very beautiful. But how does this affect the poor? Let me start with, how does this renewal and beautification and upgrading, how does it affect the poor?
Okay, I think the way it affects the poor, just like as my colleague has said, if, for instance, the high road area and the water side right now, demolition of water side, I think the idea of the government is actually to make those places conducive. So before ever they will move this people out, reject them, there should have been a conscious plan to make provision of where they will keep them and then go back to renew that area, put up a modern infrastructure that will be able to take care of people and then put them backward. So a situation where you just move in and probably you compensate only the landlords. What about the tenants? They suffer for it. Even the landlords that are being compensated, are they adequately compensated? That is another question we need to ask. So when you talk about urban renewal, how it affects the poor, I think that is the area. Like
it affects them negatively.
Yes. Negatively. Like for instance, the Nanka Waterside IC that is being, that they are asked to move. They are sleeping on open spaces. People, family with 5, 6, 7, they are suffering and their economic well-being. Right now, some of them cannot actually go out to fend for themselves because number one thing in their mind is, where do we lay our heads? Where do we put our head every day? So that is what, and if they go out to do their work, it will affect them because they are not stable.
Yeah, they are not mentally stable.
They are not mentally stable.
No, I just want you to ask.
Yes, urban renewal is not just about demolition and set up new structures. It entails making, basic infrastructure available for citizens, like good roads, access to portable water supply, access to qualitative health care, access to playgrounds where students can gather to play. All that is part of urban renewal. So if these things are properly done, then citizens who are in such localities will have the opportunity to live in decent housing units, low-cost housing that they can afford. They can have access to electricity supply, portable water supply, which they never imagined they could do on their own. They can have access to qualitative schools around them that the government also consciously set up in such areas, access to healthcare facilities, and then above all, they can have community centers where people can come in together, relate with each other, promote love, unity among themselves. All these are part of what urban renewal entails. Not just the most visible is just the buildings and the road, and for which the government has actually done well. I thought the road infrastructure excellent, but we also need to look at water supply. I don't know if any area in Port Harcourt still I see public water supply in any part of Port Harcourt, I don't know. But where I stay, that every home has its own borehole. So urban renewal should also carry along all those other areas that will benefit the people more.
Thank you, Doc. At this point, I think we are seeing the comments are just pouring in. At this point, let us just connect with our viewers by taking some comments. Baligo Sote is streaming live with us. Baligo Sote, thank you very, very much, knowing that you're there for NOA River State Dialogue. Christy Oma is also streaming live. He's also streaming live. Brigade Domio. This one is from Brigade Domio. Urban renewal and waste management requires new policies and strategic planning by government and citizens to usher in a conducive environment for all. I think Brigade will have touched this area. The doc just rounded up. In fact, he was telling us the totality of what urban renewal entails. Not what is visible that we see just the building and the roads, but it entails much more than that. Christina Oba, and thank you for streaming live with us. This one is from Brigade again. Citizens should form the heartbeat of clearing their immediate environment and adopt a unique strategy of refuse of evacuation daily. Brigade, I think we have touched the waste management expert. They are touched on that, but Doc, what do you have to contribute about this? She just said citizens should form the habit of clearing their immediate environment and adopt a unique strategy of refuse evacuation daily.
In fact, Waste Management Society of Nigeria for more than 15 years now has been a strong advocate of polluter pay principle.
What do you mean by that?
Polluter pay principle. Until we begin to pay for our waste, this thing cannot be solved. The population is getting out of hand. And whether you like it or not, population offset in Nigeria cannot be controlled because, of course, there are some areas where childbearing is like Christmas, as many as you can. So there's no way you can control childbirth, but you can control waste generation simply by making people get responsible about it. When you now know that your waste has to be weighed and you pay according to the weight, my friend, you see how people will begin to. Let me give you a very typical example of what people do in their houses. You want to wash your hand on the tap, like World Environment Day when they were talking about water, for all. You see somebody washing his hands. Are you supposed to run on a tap and be washing hands? No, it's wrong. You once you on a tap, it's better you bring a bucket, put water, wash your hands, and throw away than you have a running water and be washing. Every time you are washing like that, you are wasting water.
But they said the hand should be washed on that running.
No, I know the one you are calling.
The
one I'm saying. Yes, and it's a serious issue. Let me give you an example. Now I have a soap. I put soap in my hands. I wash my hands. By right, you off the tap while you are trying to.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Try to wash your hands, but you on. But some people, as you put the soap in your hand, they are washing away the soap immediately. No, you waste a lot of water. Or is it every time you go to toilet? Some people you are using the toilet alone. The water that you are using in your house is your own water. It's not every time you go to the toilet you must flush. And if you check well, this modern flushing system, they have two points. If you check well, but people don't understand what those things mean. One has a bigger knob, one has a smaller knob. I don't know if you have seen that before. The one that has a smaller knob is when if it is liquid, maybe you want to ease yourself that it's like urinating. You use the smaller one. Then when it is a solid, that's why you use the bigger one because of river pressure. So what we are saying is that until we begin to pay for what we are generating, people will not be conscious of waste management practices.
So thank you. William Obara, thank you for streaming live. He's also streaming live because Kobani Benabari said waste can be recycled for wealth generation. That's true. Well, I think we're coming to that. The waste management expert will talk on that, I think, before we round up. Brigade, your government needs to provide all the necessary tools for the public health and urban development, sections to function adequately. Thank you, Brigade, for your comments there. Chiwabara, thank you for streaming live with us. Frank NOA, it is a pity that our attitude to waste management is very poor. Both government and the citizen, there is need for serious orientation. Thank you, Omawadi, for your contribution there. This is from Brigade again. We must, as citizens, see ourselves as stakeholders in the process and cooperate with government on the way forward, remembering that a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Brigade, thank you. They have said that they are a wealthy nation. A healthy nation is indeed a wealthy nation. Biba, thank you very much for streaming with us. Thank you very much. Brigade, there is need to apply the 3 R's: reduce, reverse, and recycle in achieving
reuse. Reduce, reuse.
Okay. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Exactly. You're familiar with this technology. Thank you for correcting me. In achieving proper waste disposal and management. Brigade, thank you very much. From Informal and Natural Obele, the citizens should try to deposit the refuse at the appropriate places. Yeah, this is very key. Thank you, Informal Obele. Designated points so that it can be picked up. And that's what is causing flood, indiscriminate dumping of refugees in our community. Thank you, Informal Obele, for your thoughts there. Ozuruke is watching from Onelga. Thank you, Ozuruke, for streaming live because Peter Ekabie, waste management refers to the various schemes to manage and dispose of waste. It can be by discarding, destroying, processing, recycling, reusing, or controlling waste. Thank you, Kabie, for your thought there. Cynthia Ikiruka Oyejomo, every resident of a particular area is a stakeholder in waste management. It's the responsibility of the resident to manage wastes around his or her environment, and the responsibility of government to manage waste in public places. Let's all play our part. Thank you very much, Cynthia Ikiruka. Thank you very much for your thoughts there. Peter, waste management reduces the effect of waste on the environment and it can also help reuse or recycling resources such as paper, cans, glasses, etc. Thank you very much, Ikabie, for your thought there. Why can I cover harmful waste, special, provisions, etc. At CAP, LILFN, Law of Federal Republic of Nigeria, 2004. This law prohibits the carrying, disposing, and dumping of harmful waste on lands and in territorial waters. This law should be enforced vigorously. Well, they have said there, our discussants have said there, enforcement is usually a problem. The laws are there, many laws are there, but they are not enforced. All the same, thank you for your thoughts there. Pursuant to Section 20 of the Constitution, the state to empower, to protect and improve the environment and safeguard the water, air and land, forests and wildlife of Nigeria. Hence, government at all levels should see that justice is done in this sector. Thank you, Ekabie. Why can I comment? The environment impact assessment program should be seen as a sine qua non to ensure that urban renewal and waste management are enshrined, encapsulated, and codified in a written law at all levels of government. Our White Brigade, thank you for your thoughts there. Urban renewal programs still from White Brigade because they all can improve the living conditions of residence by partnering with other resources that can help improve public funds for schools and other social and health resources. Sorry. So thank you. We will at this point join our next correspondent who is on standby at Degema local government area.
Thank you, Mr. Abiye Senibo, the presenter. My name is Mrs. Ngozi Obike, Como, National Rotation Agency, Degema local government area, reporting from Degema. With me is Mr. Peter Isobari Simon. Sir, what is your opinion about urban renewal and waste management in the Degema local government area?
Thank you very much. Urban renewal is an economic development tool used by local government across the federation. For Degema local government here, there is nothing to talk home about. For waste, we dispose our waste at the river.
Thank you. So what is the way forward in respect of urban renewal and waste management in Degema local government area?
Fine. Urban renewal, the way forward, infrastructure from the people or by the people. Thank God today we have a chairman with listening ears, Honorable Michael John Williams, to face on this or to focus on this. And for the waste aspect is to create a space where people will go in there, dispose their waste. At the end of the day or at the end of the week, they will now, the people employed will now dispose them to the appropriate or the right channel.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Mr. Abiye Senibo.
Thank you, Mrs. Ngozi Obike there. That was a good report from Degema local government. I want to take the Councillor Waste Management University chapter. How would you assess waste management, particularly in university?
What I'm laughing is that sincerely, if you listen to public opinion, you know that it's not well. It's not well. And what all of us see, it is not well. I always cite examples. These things are not hidden. When the government is doing well in a particular area, it's just like what Doc said here. Roads in the center city, perfect. At least we have never had it like this before. But if you go to waste management practice in Port Harcourt, we learn from Lagos. Everybody in this country knows that Lagos is an ideal state. We learn everything we are doing. When Lagos established Loma, River State quickly followed and established IYAMA. And we felt that God has come to us in the likeness of people that will put us aright. But unfortunately, I want to say it clear that when this body was established, there should be a board. And this board was supposed to be made up of so many experts. In fact, NES has membership, WOMASEN has membership, IMAM, Environmental Management Association, has membership. About 3 or 4 of the environmental agencies were made statutory members of that board. And I feel that when these people are there, they will offer advice to the politician who is going to be chairman of the board. Because there are certain things that are happening, the head of the board may not see everything. Some of them will be seen by the experts in the field. And to be very sincere, many people don't know that the Port Harcourt there will have so many waste treatment, not really plants, but waste treatment companies. You have the Boskel, you have the Initiate, you have a lot of them in our net there, but nobody makes use of them because we are not looked at waste as an employment opportunity for people.
Sorry, Doc, are people aware that such things exist?
They are aware. They are aware.
Are you sure?
They are all aware. You know, let me tell you, everybody in River State believes that the only waste we have is oil waste, because that is where bulk of the money comes. Everybody wants to go into oil waste treatment and all that. I remember past governments tried to build one at Ego Island. It's supposed to be a waste treatment plant, but it will shock you if you go there and see what is going down there. It's supposed to be a sewage treatment plant. Wonderful. For my brother, I wouldn't want to go into that on air because it's funny. So what I'm trying, my own advice on this is that government must make a deliberate attempt to go into waste management practice. Last time I was here, I told you that Lagos State generates 500, but I'm talking to you now, it's over 500 to 600 million every month from waste management practice. But River State, as of when this government started with about close to more than 500 to 600 million they spend. I think gradually we learned they are reducing in managing waste, whereas other people are generating. We are spending our own. Presently, I know we're about 200 or 300 million naira every month is on waste.
So, Dr. coming back, before we, sorry, sir, let's join our correspondents. Is on standby from Awuda East local government area. Ezekiel, take it up.
Well, this is WOKOMA Ezekiel, the Chief Orientation and Mobilization Officer of the National Orientation Agency, Awuda East. This morning, we are bringing live to you an interview with one of the sons of Awuda East local government area. We are right here in Awuda town, the headquarters of Awuda East local government area. Mr. Chinedu, please, what have you to say about the urban renewal and waste management? Because that is the major issue we are discussing today. So the issue of urban renewal and waste management, one of the aspects and one of the causes I felt is that the urban cities supposed to be deployed with urban developers. The urban developers supposed to work in alliance with the environmentalists. These two people can be able to plan the urban cities and plan it appropriately. Without the knowledge of environmentalists, the urban planners will not be able to actualize their work. The environmentalists are there to guide them so that the issue of waste management and waste disposal should not be a problem in the urban cities. And the people that are into the planning should actually plan the cities in a way that there should be space, there should be roads, there should be avenue where which this waste disposition should be appropriately done. They should never neglect their job. They should never feel unconcerned about their job. And the environmentalists too should actually take into consideration the citizens dwelling in that cities, so that the issue of waste disposal should not be a hazard, should not cause hazard to the citizens. And this thing should be properly done. And when it is done, the urban area will be okay and conducive for people to dwell in. Well, when it is done, the urban area will be very good for people to dwell in. Well, Mr. Abiye, you can see this is the Chief Orientation Officer and the Chief Orientation and Mobilization Officer of National Orientation Agency, Awuda East local government area. Viewers, thank you for being with us. Abiye,
thank you, Ezekiel, dear, for your report. Just before we joined our Awuda East correspondents, our doc has told us there our waste management in River State is terrible. As a matter of fact, other states are earning income from it. We are wasting, so much money. It's so much terrible. Doc, I want to take you on this. Does the process of urban renewal and waste management create jobs? If yes, how? If no, why?
Obviously, the answer is yes. Urban renewal is a massive source of job creation, as well as waste management. You look at the various sectors. If you have those who go out to gather statistics, if you're pulling down so that people will be involved as labor workers, if you're building up structures to renew blighted areas, there will be masons, helpers, suppliers and all that. And there's a chain of activities that will engage a lot of people. Perhaps for the people that are being displaced might even be involved in doing these menial jobs to even earn income before completion of the project, and then they can even, or they can be opportunity to move it. For waste management, like he has said, we are just calling waste management, we're not managing waste here in River State. What will be just to collect a receptacle, transport to a dump site and leave it there. That's no management at all. So we're only transporting waste from the homes where it's being generated to a dump site, mostly borrow pits, and then we go. Now, if we are properly, managing waste, we have those people called scavengers. There is no regulation as to who and who to be allowed to even go there to see if they can get something useful. We should have, if we cannot encourage segregation at source, then we should have people, if we are properly managing waste, probably employed to segregate waste once they get to the collection center into different, maybe metals, plastics, biodegradables, and all that. There are people that will do it. Ideally, if we engage some young men, they will go to people's houses. As you bring your bag of waste, you pay. Exactly. They move it to the collection center. Not even you, because that just shouldn't go and just dump it even to the centers and all that. So that is a way of making income. They come in and based on what you bring, you pay them. They go with it, and then so if anything happens, maybe some of them will be assigned to certain localities. If there's a waste done anywhere, these are the ones who are responsible, because they are in charge of picking the waste from the homes to a central point, and then from there vehicles will come and evacuate. So the vehicle operators, those that are involved in getting the waste from the homes, and as they are bringing it, that small location, it should be segregated, because by the time you take all to the central point, it becomes difficult. So those will be segregating. It's a big industry of its own, and then bulk of these are those of these are recyclable. Those ones that will recycle will be sold. That's where the money comes from. When you get metals and you sell it for those who are going to recycle, it's not free. You get plastics, you sell it, it's not free. Government can set up recycling plants, recycle this waste and make money out of it. And people will work in those companies, and then will generate a lot of income. And that's how we can look at waste management generally. But for now, we're not really doing waste management at all. We are transporting waste from one point. So it's a lot of persons who have been engaged if we are doing it rightly.
Sir, you wanted to say something?
Yes, just to briefly respond on assessment of the government, or assessment generally on waste management. I think before now, we used to hear of what I call as a city. And how the government are they responding to this issue of waste management? It baffles me, or a stroll down the town, from Joe Aziz down to town, from town to, you can see that destination point, that somebody, one of the viewers, made a comment about destination points. How can a government approve center of road as a dumping site? How can they? And they are talking about the health of the people. So approving such a places like what I call Aba Express Road, Adajot Road, Creek Road, especially those places close to the market, for them to have approved a center of the road for dump site is not done. I think they should look into that issue.
Perhaps they are looking for a central place where people be picked up easily.
No, but it shouldn't be on the roadside, because sometimes it's to accident, because before you know it, the number of waste that is dumped there has expanded and taken over a portion of the road. And in order for them to maneuver, they knock down people. So they should look into it. And then this house-to-house collection. I know that in those days, in the 80s down to 90s, early 90s, especially when we had not IYAMA now, but environmental sanitation, they come to houses of people and they pick these things. You hear them ringing bell on the street, they are coming, and people don't bring out their waste, and they wait for them. The moment they come, they can't go back to them. But just like as my colleagues have said, we can also pay for it, and people should come to our houses, pick them up, then go to the destination point where they will dump those things, and then proper evacuation will be done to where it will either be recycled or whatever thing they want to use it for. That is just fine.
I just want to take you this because urban renewal have any backside. Now, these questions, is coming, from the point that, we have some historical artifacts, and there are certain things that no matter what you're doing, they should be left because it's an artifact for reminiscence. We see them and we remember our history and all of that. But sometimes urban renewal and urban development seem to take these things away. So is there any backside to urban renewal?
It depends on the implementation. But what you're saying, such structures, urban renewal rather reinforce such structures, make it look, even that old state, make it look modern, not putting that, but make it look modern in that old state. That's what that urban renewal does. So it becomes more attractive to even tourists to go there, see things, and possibly to pay to enter. That's what urban renewal does. Make something better than the way it is to attract people. So urban renewal activities will not pull down such structures, but rather reinforce them, make it look better, and even generate income from it. So that is not something anything bad. But when you implement urban renewal practices without carrying the people along, that's where it becomes a problem. Like homeless. Once you don't have a roof over your head, you cannot even think of anything positive again. Even if you go to work as a civil servant, you cannot function well in the office because all your focus or mind will be back home. My children are outside. If I close the work, where do I go to from here? So that's a big problem. Otherwise, urban renewal is just to make a bad thing good or a good thing better. So it's a good thing, but the way and manner it is implemented is where we have challenges.
It's any challenges to urban renewal. We are going to take this question in our turns as well. We are winding down, we are rounding up. What are the challenges to urban renewal and waste management? I know there are
the challenges are quite enormous, but I feel one of the major challenges is population growth, which is becoming geometric. You cannot avoid it because whether I like it or not, childbearing is not monitored. Most people feel that childbearing is as God has given. If not for me, the kind of mentality I have about life now, anybody having more than 2 children, sometimes you go to churches, you see people coming to give thanksgiving for a 5th child. This modern world. In my family, sorry to say this, I've told everybody close to me, once it is more than your 3rd child, I don't come. I don't even come. That's my person. Because, this urban renewal we are talking about, it can happen to anybody. It depends on the leadership. If the leadership doesn't care about the people, they just come one day, my brother, that your house can be a road. I'm telling you the truth. And they give you 2 weeks to relocate. At that time, you have 4 children in the university or 4 children in some. In fact, in my where I work, we just lost one of our prominent staff, very dedicated staff. But I bet some things I began to hear scares me. The kind of schools the children attend. Somebody that I know his salary cannot even carry just one. How will you manage that? So the effects are so enormous. So urban renewal to me and waste management. My interest is on waste management. Let us begin to see how we can return to what other countries in the world are doing now. Let us begin to make people responsible to the waste they generate. There are people who are ready to do this business of waste collection. It's employment. There are people who are ready to do waste treatment. It's also another business. There are so many chains of it. Like what Doc said, I'm prophesying, you'll soon be wrong. Don't be surprised that you see these people called scavengers. If you look at the waste management ladder, scavengers are at the bottom. They are very important. No matter how you see them doing it look illegal somehow now, for us, they are like middlemen. So what I'm just generally saying is that the practice of waste management and urban renewal are brothers. They are related. As one is going up, the other one will be going down. As one is going down, the other one is also going up. That's how it is.
No. So you contribute to what he has said. You have the thought.
Of course, the two are related, and generally, you cannot talk about urban renewal without mentioning proper waste management. You can't divorce it. And the challenge, like you said, population explosion. And then the attitude of people here is a major problem. Yes, government might have blame, but the attitude of the people, if government put all this in place and our attitude remains the way it is, we will not go anywhere. And that's why I'm sure some of these active programs you're doing comes into play. So we need to change our attitude, the way we handle things in our environment, particularly waste. You see people today, people sweep their office shops and sweep everything to the drainage today. And if you don't try to help, so madam, why don't you put your dustbin? They will even insult you. And these things have to change. It's attitude.
Okay, I think one of the challenges is that, just like as you said, attitudinal issues. The situation where the government want to maybe create a new road, access road to a particular community, or want to expand. You see the people coming out to restrict the construction company by telling them, you need matching ground, we need this, we need that. You know, these things can also stop the government from carrying out urban renewal, in such an environment. So I think that thing should be, the people should be properly educated whenever government want to move into such ventures.
Doc, the last word from you. The parting word.
Yes, parting word. Like the case of attitudinal change, I want to say that like this year, the Waste Management Society River State has made up its mind to go into what we call open campaign against dropping of waste from vehicles. You see the car is moving, you see them throw waste from the vehicles, a lot of issues. So we want to go to that this year. So we are also pleading to NOA to be a support to us because it's still part of urban renewal. Our attitude is getting out of hand.
No, I'll come for your party one. But before that, let me just take some few comments here. You know, they are part of this thing, so it would be nice to hear their comments coming. Rama Brown, you're streaming live with us all the way from Bonny Island. Thank you very much. Sherita is also live with us. From all the way from NOA local government. Charles William, government should provide the necessary infrastructure. Material Williams Opera. JJB, well done to NOA and ABS anymore for this program. Can it be beamed on the mainstream media as well? Oh, thank you. Nothing is impossible. This is from our friends from WOKOMA, all the way from WOKOMA. Thank you very much for streaming live, JJB. I appreciate your comments so very much. It's possible, JJB, it's possible. We're looking forward to it. Aldous Gladstone, on waste management, Nigeria is still opening crude methods of waste disposal. A situation where citizens dispose and litter waste, products on streets and public places is still primitive. Yeah. I agree with you, Aldous, is still very primitive. That's what the doctor just, our attitude has to change. Some of these things is not just government. There are certain things you do that you know is wrong. Let's change our attitude there. Nkechi Naji, you're streaming live with us. Thank you very much. Esanjimi Richard Alide, you're streaming live with us. Thank you very much. Igibo Tiger, thank you very much for streaming live. Charles William Opera, when the relevant laws are not enforced, people become indisciplined. Exactly. Enforcement of the law in our country, as you and me know, is an issue. Thank all the same thing. Thank you. A very informer is we're watching, you're streaming live with us. Ellis Seriadapa and Didi, thank you very much for streaming live with us. And let people pay for waste generated. They've overflowed this issue here, Didi. When people are responsible for waste they generate, they will be mindful and then know how to dispose them properly. Collins, NOA is doing a great job. Thank you. Elizabeth Okere, Let government provide the necessary, materials, and citizens will obey. Thank you, everybody that streamed live with us. This year we're going to round up. Doc, let's just hear 1 minute parting word, to the people. Just 1 minute.
I want to thank NOA for this privilege, and I want to believe that the public is informed. We hope and expect that our perception and our activities will change for the better, particularly relates to waste management and urban renewal.
Commander, 30 seconds. Just look at the people. Look at the camera, talk to the people.
I think adequate enlightenment program should be carried out to educate the masses on how to manage waste. If that is done, maybe one of us, like NOA slogan, change begins with me. It must start from us.
Exactly.
Otherwise.
Exactly. Viewers, this is where we'll round it up for today. I want to thank the discussants in the studio with me. Commander, thank you for coming. Doc, my brother, I'm very happy seeing you today. Thank you for coming to the studio today with us.
Thank you.
And then Doctor, the waste management expert, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
This is the second time you're coming, and I believe you always oblige us. You're very fantastic. Thank you for coming to stream with us. And everybody that sent in comments, to those that we would not take your comments, it's time bound. It's just 1 hour, there's nothing we can do, but your comment will be taken. We're not taking your comment for granted. So thank you, everybody that streamed live with us. Thank you very much. I want to leave this with you. Please, 2023 is by the corner. They say our vote do not count, but politicians pay as much as 5,000, 10,000 to buy the vote. Does anybody buy something that is not of a value? Think. Go and get your PVC, your permanent voters card, and wait, because that is your voice. On this note, we'll round it up for another River State Dialogue today. Until we'll come your way again next week, same time. Stay safe. Bye.